Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayla Nicole 999 and this is 90 Days to Recovery After Narcissistic Abuse. Today is Tuesday, December 1st, 2020. Can you guys believe we made it through this whole year? Only a month left until 2021. And today is going to be day 18 in this series. And today we're going to be talking about consent. So let's just jump right into that. If you hear a gnawing sound in the background, that is my favorite boy in the whole wide world, my dog Corbin, and he is chewing on a massive bone right now. So please forgive the sound. Anyway, so let's talk about what consent is. So consent is very important when it comes to sex. What is consent, really? We need to be constantly asking our partners if they're okay with what we're doing. You know, we need to ask them, are you okay with this? If they respond with yes, that is consent. No response, that's not necessarily consent. You know, that's when you need to ask further questions. Asking your partner if you're comfortable, if they're comfortable with what you're doing, and then responding with yes, or I like that, please continue, things like that. Those are examples of consent. You know, check in with your partner, ask, is this okay? Let them know that you can stop at any time. Understand that someone who may be kissing you one moment can decide that they don't want to do it any longer. Just, 30 seconds later. And once they decide that they don't want to continue, you need to stop. If you don't stop, that is not consensual. When you're having sex, any type of sexual interaction with somebody, whether it just be over the clothes petting or just kissing, you need to make sure that the person you are doing these things with is comfortable with what is going on. So, more examples of consent would be somebody telling you, I want you to do specific actions to me. If somebody says, I want you to kiss me, they are consenting to you kissing them, and that is when you get to decide if you do want to kiss them or not. It's really important. These things are really, really important. So let's talk about what's not consent. Oh, look at the way she was dressed. She was asking for it. No, she really wasn't. It doesn't matter if a girl is wearing a short skirt and a tight shirt that shows her cleavage. That is not consent. We are allowed to wear whatever clothes we want. And we shouldn't have men trying to grope us, even if we're at the club, just because we're wearing provocative clothing. When you touch somebody and they don't respond, if you kiss somebody and they don't kiss you back, that's not consent. And honestly, you shouldn't have kissed them in the first place without asking if they were okay with it. If you're touching somebody and they go stiff and they're just laying there and they're not actively touching you back, that is not consent. Oftentimes, we are unable to say no, and it may be because of past trauma. So instead of saying no, we freeze. Oftentimes, we'll try to push you away and say, no, stop. But then if you keep trying, that's not consensual. Pressuring somebody into having sex with you is not consensual. If you have a girl in your room, or even a boy, you know, boys need to consent too. And you're literally pressuring them into doing things that they've already said no to. That's not consent. Assuming that because somebody has had these type of relations with you in the past, that they want to have these type of relations with you again, so you just touch them without asking if it's okay, that's not consent. Taking advantage of somebody that is under the influence of drugs and alcohol, it's not consensual. Even if they said yes while they were incredibly drunk, they may wake up and regret it in the morning. I know I definitely have, time and time again. So we're gonna go into a story. And this is a hard story for me to talk about. Besides my recent heartbreak, this is the reason I have not dated or even allowed anybody to touch me or kiss me in 2 years. I had a friend that I had known for 8 years. And he was also friends with the man who broke my heart recently. Well, 2 years ago. Since the day that I met him, he tried and tried and tried to kiss me. Every single time he did, I pushed him away. I said no. I was never interested in this man. I was never attracted to this man in any sort of way. However, I made excuses for him because he was always incredibly drunk. And I told myself, he's just drunk. He doesn't mean anything by it. For 8 years, I ensured that I never got too drunk when I was alone with this man because I knew what was going to happen. And I did a really good job of that. And then I allowed problems in my life to cause me to drink more than I should have. And I ended up spending the night at this guy's apartment. We weren't alone that night, but we were alone the next day when we woke up. He had told me that we had had sex the night before while I was blacked out. He was trying to touch me again that morning. I continued to push him off of me. I continued to say no as I laid there literally hating myself that morning for allowing him to touch me the night before while I was blacked out drunk. I was still too drunk to leave. My car was at a different friend's. I didn't necessarily have the money to take an Uber or a Lyft from this guy's house back to my house, back to my friend's house to pick up my car later when I sobered up. And I was way too drunk to take an Uber from his place to my car and then drive myself home. So I stayed at his place, trying to sober up. I was allowing him to kind of cuddle with me, but every time he tried to touch me sexually, I kept pushing him away and saying no, but he wouldn't stop. Finally, I got so tired of saying no. I was still drunk. I didn't know what to do. But I finally just kind of gave in. I never said yes. I never told him that I wanted him. I just stopped fighting it. After it was over, I hated myself even more. And I got up and I left. I allowed him to pay for my Uber so I could get back to my friend's house and get my car. I went into a pretty bad depression after that. I was absolutely disgusted with myself. I never wanted to see him again, but he was close friends with my other friends, and I was gonna have to see him again if I wanted to remain friends with my friends. In hindsight, I'm no longer friends with any of these people. I probably just should have ghosted then. It would have saved me so much heartbreak, because after this incident is when I got with the other man who broke my heart in 2018. Fast forward to a year later, after the other man that I fell in love with absolutely broke my heart into a billion pieces. Months after, we're at our favorite nightclub because they're having one final party, they're closing. I went there alone that night, knowing that the man that broke my heart and this other friend of his was going to be there. I didn't want to miss the final party. This is my favorite club. I told myself that I wasn't going to drink that much that night. And I didn't at first. Until I ran into the man that broke my heart. And seeing him absolutely destroyed me. So after that short 3-minute encounter with him, I started pounding back the shots. The next thing I know, I'm drunk, standing outside of the club, barely able to even walk. And I'm texting that other friend, asking if he wanted to fuck, because, you know, I had already fucked him once, I might as well do it again, because I'm heartbroken and drunk. It was hours before he replied. I went home that night, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried for hours. He finally replied, asking if I wanted him to send a car for me. I was still drunk, and I said yes. However, by the time I got to his place, I changed my mind. I told him no. I told him that I had changed my mind. And I actually sat there for hours talking to him, crying on his shoulder over his best friend. I remember him looking at me saying, "You're really in love with, aren't you?" I'm not going to share this man's name. And I looked at him, tears streaming down my face, and I said, "Yeah, I am." I should have just went home. I should have just went home right after that. He broke out the wine. I wanted to drown my sorrows. So I drank. I drank to the point of basically being blacked out again. I don't really have many memories. I have bits and pieces of memories. I'm not exactly sure what happened between us after that, but enough happened. woke up, there were only bits and pieces of memories, and I hated myself again. I don't know if he actually penetrated me that night or day. It was early in the morning by the time I started getting drunk again. But I sat there wanting to scrub this man off of my skin. He was my friend, though. I was trying to be nice. But I was hating myself for being so stupid. As we had a conversation after we both sobered up, it's when he finally told me a full year later that he lied to me, that I never had sex with him that night when I was blacked out. He lied to me. He manipulated me into believing that I had had sex with him while blacked out the night before, in hopes that I would have sex with him the next morning. And I did, because I got tired of fighting him off. I got tired of saying no. So I finally just laid back and took it. Nothing that ever happened with that man and I was ever consensual. Had I known that I had never, ever slept with him, that first time when I was blacked out the night before, when he lied to me and told me that I did, I would have never let him touch me. I only let him touch me because I thought we had already done it the night before. I only went to him that second time a year later because I had already done it once before. You guys don't even know how much I hate myself for letting this man touch me. It wasn't consensual, but I still hate myself for even putting myself in that position. What was I supposed to do? Go to the cops and tell them that my friend manipulated me into sleeping with him? He's a CFO for our company. I'm a sex worker. A sex worker that doesn't make a lot of money currently. And he has a lot of money. I had no proof. It was my word against his. And at the time I was so heartbroken over the man that broke my heart and the fact that I had lost all of my friends over falling in love with that man, but I tried to remain friends with this man because I was so desperate to have friends. The more I talked to him, the more I realized I didn't like him, though. I never hung out with him again. I only talked to him a few times on the phone. And one day I finally did just cut him off. Deleted his number. Never spoke to him again. However, since that day, I have not been comfortable enough with men to allow them to touch me. I've let a couple guys give me a hug, but that's it. I haven't kissed anyone. It'll be 2 years in January. So I want to put this message out there. And really want you guys to start ensuring that what you're doing with other people is consensual. Girls, I want you to start saying no. I want you to find the courage to get up and walk away. The courage that I lacked. I shouldn't have laid there and just taken it. I should have just left. It's not okay for people to take advantage of us when we're too drunk. However, it is partially our responsibility to realize that there are people in this world who will take advantage of us if given the opportunity. And we need to do what we need to do to protect ourselves and not put ourselves in those positions, which means monitoring our alcohol intake. I hardly drink anymore. I am never going to get too drunk around men again. It's been an incredibly hard 2 years, but I'm finally starting to heal. I'm finally starting to establish strong boundaries with people. I'm finally starting to not just let men take advantage of me, because it's something that I've done for years. This isn't the first time I've had this type of experience. I've been physically raped multiple times in my life. This is just the most recent one. However, you know, this sexual assault or whatever you want to call it, I don't even know what to call it, you know? It was one of the hardest ones because I had said no to this man. For 8 years, I had ensured that I never got too drunk around this man. I kept making excuses for this man. I should have never made those excuses for him. And I should have never allowed myself to be alone with him. I've learned from these experiences. You know, I'm very picky about who I allow in my life now. I won't tolerate friendships with people like him anymore. I am healing. I am getting better. And eventually maybe I will date again. You know, when I find somebody that I'm actually comfortable with. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. You know, if you like this video, as always, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down, chat with me in the comments. Share your experiences with me if you're comfortable enough talking about them. Tell me, you know, share more examples of what consent is and what consent isn't, because other people need to know this. And as always, if you want to stay connected with me and be notified anytime I release a new video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until tomorrow, have a great night, day, morning, whatever time it is while you're watching. I'll see you again real soon.